Hello everybody, welcome to Planet Coaster 2 and welcome to Stevewood Studios. This is a little build I've been putting together in the early access period for the new Silver Screen DLC coming out on August the 19th. And since I didn't really have any projects which I thought this theme fit into ongoing at the moment, I could probably have found a way to shoehorn it into Stevetown if I tried really hard. Or I probably wouldn't even have to try that hard, but you know, I'm sure I could find like really creative ways to use it in Jardin Magique. But when I was looking at this pack, the obvious and immediate inspiration was just to use the pack as it is. And sometimes it's just really nice and fun to take the pieces as they're intended and build the thing that they're intended for. Yeah, you know, it turns out when you do that, you can get a surprising amount of stuff done in a very short amount of time. So yeah, I was feeling really inspired by this new Art Deco theme, and I just wanted to try building. The first inspiration was the entrance at California Adventure, the Disney park. You know, obviously I'm not recreating that, it ends up looking a little bit different. That was kind of my initial kind of jumping off point, and then as I sort of, you know, carried on building, exploring the pieces, we just sort of ended up ballooning into this whole kind of entrance area for a studio style park. So that's what we've got here. We've got a time lapse. This is from about 2 days worth of recording maybe. And yeah, like I said, it all came together super quickly because yeah, when you're not trying to sort of break the mold and you're just sort of using the pieces as Frontier intended, it turns out you can build very quickly. So yeah, we've got this kind of studio style park entrance, lots of Art Deco, lots of curvy corners and plaster and fun little metal details, stuff like that. Just trying to, you know, find fun pieces to use in the pack and then use them to their best effect. So we start off with this kind of entrance cover here, and then we'll move on to some shops and stuff on the inside of the park. But yeah, studios parks in general actually I'm not like super into studio parks. I think they have their moments of coolness, but they generally sort of feel to me like sort of high budget. There's almost kind of like a jankiness to them a lot of the time, because it's like, oh, this is a film set, you know, or this is a film studio. They can kind of get away with not theming stuff quite as intensely as Disneyland, for example. Yeah, the fact that it's kind of a movie studio type thing, it kind of gives you carte blanche to just leave a bunch of jank everywhere. So you end up with this weird kind of like high budget jank, which I guess in its own way is kind of a really interesting aesthetic space to explore. But it doesn't really do that much for me, just from a pure like kind of in terms of enjoying the aesthetic, it doesn't do that much for me. But yeah, obviously, one thing I do love about studio parks is that they all have, or a lot of them anyway, have this kind of, you know, golden age of Hollywood Art Deco kind of Art Deco vibe. So yeah, I really like the kind of entrance areas for a lot of these parks, the Universal parks in particular, and obviously DCA, as I mentioned earlier, while not being a studio park, although I guess a lot of the Disney parks are kind of turning into studio parks now, but that's a different conversation. DCA also has this kind of like, because it's obviously the California Adventure, it's got a lot of this kind of very Californian Art Deco vibe about it, which I really enjoy. So yeah, that's what we're building. What we're building it with, of course, is the new Silver Screen DLC pack. I haven't figured out exactly when I'm going to put this video out yet, because the kind of embargo schedule for this pack changed slightly while we were in the middle of early access. So it was a bit of a kind of scramble to try and get this video finished. As I'm recording this voiceover, I'm not 100% sure when the video is going to come out, basically. But either way, the pack comes out on Wednesday, August the 19th, which could be very soon. It could have already happened. And yeah, what to say about it really? Overall, I said this in my scenery overview video, aka Column Watch, which is also available on the channel at the moment, that yeah, like this new scenery set, my first impression of it was very strong, and having now built a bunch of stuff with it, I think it's great. I really like it. One thing that's really cool about it is that it pairs really nicely with the small town set from the Parades pack. A lot of these new kind of plastery details work really well for Main Street builds, for like cornicing and trim details. There's loads of really nice stuff in there for that. And then obviously just in its own right, it's a really nice, like loads of really nice Art Deco details. It's just kind of good for like general Americana, you know, if you're building an American park or a park that has a sort of Americana section, any kind of like diner or Main Street or, you know, whatever, Route 66 kind of vibe. Like there's loads of stuff in here for doing that sort of thing, which obviously is entirely my bag and I find it very enjoyable. So yeah, I think the new set overall is a huge dub. I'm really into it. and I've not yet had a chance to do much with the new rides. I did start trying to put together a flying coaster layout, and I'm not sure, I may end up turning that into a video, I'm not really sure, but yeah, the new rides look really great. I'm really looking forward to using the Dumbo ride in particular, and yeah, from that point of view, all the new stuff at the packet in the pack at least is really good. As for the returning bits from studios, you know, I talked about this in my scenery overview video. I could kind of take or leave a lot of the studio stuff. Like, I'm really glad to have back some of the pieces, like all the clutter pieces, the bin bags, the boxes, all the backstage clutter stuff. The cars are really good. Some of the signs are really good. Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to complain about it, but what I'd really like is to have the pieces in that kind of wheelhouse, but to have them like new ones that are higher fidelity, that kind of match with the sort of style of this game. Whereas obviously what we've ended up with is just the straight ports of the stuff from the first game, and some of the pieces, more than others, just don't hold up as well. You know, they look really low poly, the textures don't look good. So yeah, it's kind of, I feel conflicted, but as I said, you know, it's very difficult to complain about it when they've just sort of chucked it all in for like a couple of quid on top of the price of the usual price of the DLC. So it's like, it's really difficult to complain about it because it's such a good deal. But I do sort of wish it was just new stuff. But yeah, I think this pack is really good, really nice. I will say, the whole thing kind of caught me off guard slightly. Like, I wasn't expecting a new DLC this soon. I don't think anybody was after the last one. I was still sort of in my like down phase where I was like taking a little break from playing the game, playing other stuff. And then I get the email from Frontier like, you're invited to a preview event for a new DLC. I was like, what the hell? I don't have time for this. It's funny actually, I just kind of like started playing the game again. I was building the Alpine restaurant in Jardin Magique, and then we got the email and I was like, oh, interesting, this could be like, I wonder if this will be something that's like really useful or inspiration for this park. And then we get the email saying silver screen DLC, and I'm like, oh, okay, it's it's the like Studios 2.0 thing, which, you know, I'm not complaining about, but it's just funny. I was absolutely not expecting like a Studios pack kind of DLC here. I mean, I wasn't expecting a DLC at all, and then I wasn't expecting it to be Studios, but yeah, I'm not complaining. But like I say, I wasn't really ready emotionally for a new DLC. I was kind of chilling, doing my thing. And now I'm really curious, like, I mean, I've seen a lot of speculation about this. Obviously, we don't know at this point, like, what's happened here. My suspicion is that originally the Parades pack was meant to come out a bit earlier, probably with the Arcades update that we got in, was it April? Or I think it was April. And then, obviously, when we got that, we were told in advance when we were getting the announcement for the Parades DLC, and it was like 2 months ahead in June. So my suspicion is that the Parades pack was meant to come out in April, and for whatever reason it just wasn't ready yet. They needed to kind of squash bugs or whatever. Yeah, as a result, the Parades got pushed into June, and that we're now back on the original schedule, and that, you know, this was planned to come out at this point all along. And instead of pushing it down the line into kind of like Planet Zoo territory, Planet Zoo 2, they've just decided to keep to the original schedule and have a shorter gap between the two. That would be my guess. I'd be really surprised if come like, what would be 2 months from now, will be October. I'd be really surprised if we get another DLC in October, basically, and that they're sort of like switching to a 2-month thing permanently. That would kind of surprise me. Although I guess, you know, never say never, we shall see. And of course, the addition of the Studios pack in this DLC, I would assume at this point, like they already know what the next DLC is going to be. Like all of this stuff will have been planned out months in advance. They may have already finished like working on it at this point. I don't know how it goes, but it seems safe to me to say that it's plausible that the next 2 DLCs could be like some kind of new take on the adventure theme with the old adventure pack thrown out, and or some kind of new take on the spooky theme. Even though we already had the sorcery pack, I think there's still other ways that you could skin that cat, as it were. Some kind of new take on the spooky theme plus the old spooky pack DLC. Like, I could absolutely see this becoming like the format for the next 2 DLCs. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see, I guess. There's still like so many themes that they could conceivably do in this game. Again, I kind of maintain that it's kind of a shame that we've like locked into this situation where, I mean, not locked in isn't the right word, obviously we're not locked into anything, but it seems like we are on this path now of like bringing back all the old stuff, which, as I keep saying, I just don't think it holds up that well. I would hugely prefer to just have loads more new stuff. But you know, dev time is what it is. As long as we're getting some new stuff, then I'm happy. In terms of like rides and stuff for new DLCs, yeah, into like scenery themes, I'm kind of happy for them to just do whatever they want. I trust that they'll make really nice pieces, and whatever theme they are, like, I'll find fun ways to use them. Rides, I'm a little bit less like, I don't know. In some ways, I'm like, just give me whatever rides. I don't really care that much. But then at the same time, like, it does excite me way more when they give us good rides. So, yeah, obviously, I'm in the camp that wants more classic flat rides, like small footprint, classic flat rides. I really miss all of the kind of retro flats that we had in the first game. It seems at the moment anyway, like what we're getting is basically one kind of gimme for the for the like realism kind of low budget generic community. We get one gimme flat ride per DLC at the moment. You know, we got the little drop tower. I guess the Tagada also counts last time. This time we got the Dumbo ride. So it sort of feels like that's the that's the situation. You know, obviously I would love to see just like a ride pack with just a bunch of really nice flat rides in it. Small classic flat rides, flying scooters, please, my beloved. I understand from like a marketing perspective, you know, they need the packs need to have some kind of like big, fancy, kind of attractive, big sellers. I suspect at some point we're going to get, in the next 2 DLCs maybe, we'll probably get a Max Striker. I think that's like maybe the last remaining like really big modern coaster type that we don't have yet. Anyway, besides rides, well actually quickly I will say, I'd really like, the top thing that I still really want that we haven't had, even in Planet Coaster 1, is a Mack powered coaster. This is something I've been banging the drum about for years. I want to be able to create Runaway Mine Train at Alton Towers. I want to be able to create, the name of it's gone from my head, the one at Efteling. Max and Moritz, is that what it's called? The like racing or dueling powered coaster. Is it dueling or is it just have like a funky Mobius strip? I can't remember. Anyway, Mack powered coaster, please. That is like my one thing that I really want. And then yeah, other than rides, in terms of features, there's like a bunch of stuff that it feels like, I mean, neglected is possibly the wrong word, because, you know, you don't know why certain things are omitted, why certain things are included, why certain things aren't included. But, you know, since the release of the game, we've not had a single new biome added to the game. We still only have 4 biomes, which is kind of crazy. When I opened Planet Coaster 1 to record my like bin bag clip for the DLC reveal video, I went to like select new park in Planet Coaster 1 and I was greeted with this just like, I can't remember is it like 8 biomes now or something? You know, you've got all these biomes and you've got the custom scenario editor where you can essentially build your own biome. You know, you pick whatever terrain skirt you want out of the ones that exist, and then you can customize all the terrain paints that you've got in your park file. Not only that, but even after you've created a park file in the first game, you can then go and switch out which scenery paints are attached to that park file. So, you know, you can build for hours in a park file and then decide, actually, I don't want this sand, I wanted that dirt, and you can go and swap it and it will update the terrain in your park file. I would really love to have that feature back. I'm sure other people feel this as well, where it's like you start building in one biome and then you get to a certain point and you're like, damn, I'd really like to have that mud terrain paint from the other biome type. And yeah, in Planet Coaster 1 that wasn't a problem. You know, obviously the scenario editor didn't come out with the launch of the game, but by the end of the game, that wouldn't have been an issue. You would just use the option there to toggle which terrain paints you had on the file. So yeah, I'd really love to see that come back, because I'm very much having that issue in this game at the moment, where with Jardin Magique, for example, I'd really like to be able to swap out a couple of the terrain paints for a couple of the deciduous ones. And yeah, just more biomes, more terrain skirts, more like environments to build parks in. Like, I used to really love the city one from the first game, which I think came with the Studios pack, maybe. Sort of biome with the like the big like towering city in the background. That was really good. And yeah, like I don't play the kind of campaign mode at all, but it does seem kind of wild that none of the DLC packs, I don't think, have had anything in terms of like new scenarios for, you know, people who enjoy that side of the game, which seems a bit crazy to me. Probably the number one thing, which so many people are talking about now, it's like it becomes more and more felt the further we go into the game without it getting updated at all, is just the foliage in the game. Like, not a single tree has been added in the nearly 2 years that the game has been out. You know, trees, bushes, flowers, whatever. Like, it's just crazy to me that we still don't have more foliage options, all that kind of stuff. Like, I strongly feel that we need more foliage. I see a lot of people saying this, like a foliage pack would go crazy, like just give us a foliage pack. It seems unlikely to me. Again, it's a marketing thing, right? It's like, in order to justify working on a DLC, they need to be able to say, we could market it like this, probably this many people will buy it, blah 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 blah. In a coaster game, unfortunately, I suspect that the raw numbers appeal for something like a foliage pack is probably not there. So my view is that the hope remains basically that we get some kind of theme that includes a shed load of foliage. Because, I don't know. You would think even that, like, the parades pack would be a good excuse to add a bunch of, like, small kind of street trees, for example, for main streets. I mean, likewise with this deco pack, which kind of, it's almost like another Main Street pack, because this sort of style of architecture is something you see on Studio Park kind of main streets. More trees. We just need more trees. My fear is that, like, you could see, for example, an adventure pack having loads of trees in it, but my fear with that is that we just end up getting a bunch of, like, tropical adventure pack style trees. Which would be nice, don't get me wrong, but I just really wish we had more trees. More trees, more flowers, more ground cover, more rocks, more of everything. Anyway, just to cycle back to summarise the new Silver Screen DLC, it's good. I wasn't expecting it, but it's a very nice surprise to have. I really love the new Art Deco Silver Screen theme, as they call it. And yeah, let's just hop into a little bit of a live view walking around the park. I'll show you what I managed to get done and talk a little bit more about this whole thing. Okay, here we are in the park file, and as you can see, as per usual, I did fail to record quite a bit of time-lapse stuff, as is usually the case, you know. I think also, if I had recorded time-lapse for everything I did, then the video would have been extremely long. And because we had a time-lapse, I'm not going to dwell too long on this, walking you around all this stuff, but people are walking through walls and, planters and things a lot, just because I've not done any kind of finessing with the pathways, with barriers, or cutting little shapes out or anything yet. There simply wasn't enough time. Likewise with this kind of thing on the floor here, I think it would have been cool to make this look like a film reel, but I just settled for embedding some little lights and stuff in the floor there. Also redid the trees a little bit in this entrance area from what you saw in the time-lapse. Added in Deif's classic turnstiles. I say classic, I usually use the kind of vertical ones in all the other projects. I've not used these kind of waist height ones before, but yeah, shout outs to Deif, they are lovely. You will also notice I've put in these kind of entertainment stand things with speakers and lights on them, and in fact, while we're here, I'll just show you. The nighttime vibes here are looking pretty fun. We've got these new kind of gobo pattern lights doing the stars on the floors. I've got those all rotating, so that just creates this really nice kind of kinetic energy. And then obviously we've also got the kind of shafts of light here. I should probably attach these to a sequencer and offset them slightly. Obviously when I placed them down first in the game, because I placed them at different times, they weren't synced up like this. I've not done a proper lighting pass on this yet, but I thought it was worth just showing off how this little entrance area looked with the little kind of up lights in the floor, and then these animated gobos. We've got those inside the park here as well. They just look so good. I love them. But yeah, not much else to say really that you haven't already seen in the time lapse. I have to give a shout out to Kai. I used their studio, backlot stage building from the workshop. I kind of brought it in, made it a bit smaller, added in some of the new pieces, added this little bit to the top here as well. The idea here is obviously that there might be a parade or something that comes along the main street here, so this is just to house the parade station in here. Likewise, I feel like a tram would work really well in this park, so it could be cool to have like a tram station on this side which comes in like that. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with this, to be honest. Like I was saying in the time-lapse section, I'm not really that into studio parks. When I started this, I didn't start it thinking like, I'm going to build a studio park. I started it thinking, this is kind of what I'm inspired to build, so that's what I'm going to build. But I have to admit, like, the more of this I've done, the more I'm thinking, it'd be quite fun to at least like finish building out the main street area. But yeah, because I was working on this kind of condensed timescale, obviously, like, there's nothing on this, like, this obviously all needs to be sorted out. I think in reality, maybe I'd have like a bit more space between this entrance and like this road here, maybe just like a little decompressing space here with some planters or something. But yeah, so I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it. I may just upload this to the workshop so that if you want to build studio park with this as kind of a starter, you could do that. Like I said, I'm not entirely sure what I'm going to do with it yet. Yeah, I don't know. I may carry on building this main street at least, just because I'm kind of really in the flow, really enjoying using these pieces. I don't think this was in the time lapse, but I built this little Ruble Trillions Bank facade here. Obviously around this side we've got a little shout out to Fog, the Foggy Lens camera rental. Oh, one thing that I really want to point out actually is that now in the base game without any mods, basically every item goes down to 20%. At the time of recording, I've not seen any patch notes, so I'm assuming this will be in the patch notes. Obviously they didn't mention it in the update 11 video, but it seems as though they have changed it so that every item, at least I haven't found any objects yet that don't go down to 20%. Seems like across the board now everything can go down to 20%, which is obviously huge. It's been really welcome in this build. It will obviously be very welcome in Stevetown, which is my unmodded park build. Would it be nice if it went down to 1%? Yes, but you know, I'm very thankful that they've decided to do that, and hopefully it's a sign that they are willing to listen and that we can perhaps talk them down to reduce those limitations further over time. We shall see. Like I said, I think it's great that they've decided to do 20%. That's Stevewood Studios. Thank you very much for watching. As always, I'm looking forward to seeing what everyone else is going to build with this new pack. Let me know if you'd be interested in seeing more of this, like building out this entrance area. Like I said, I've got, I think I've got more inspiration in the tank to continue this. Yeah, again, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time. Bye!